Hey, thank you all of you guys who have joined us so far. And we will post this on our website too. So those that couldn't join us today can stay tuned. But I'm excited about this webinar and kind of nervous, but thanks you for joining. This is a super important conversation about men's mental health that we're going to talk about today. And for those of you who don't know the background of the Stay Mentally Strong Foundation, I'll just tell you a little bit about how that got started. And unfortunately, it was inspired by a really tragic event. And that was about a year ago, a little over a year ago, my husband, who is strong, disciplined, very driven, suffered from what I would call a mental or nervous breakdown. And this was completely foreign to us. It became debilitating to him. So he totally stopped sleeping, which made him get really weak and his hands started to tremble. And then he wasn't able to do orthodontics anymore. And this was devastating to him because he was someone who was always able to push through with like sheer mental strength, you know? And so we didn't know what to do. We got online and we surfed the internet and looked for answers, like what was going on and how could we help him, and met with so many dead ends, unanswered phone calls, people not getting back to us, long waiting lists, and just didn't find the right connections, the right resources. And it was really frustrating. And only about 2 months into it, Sean lost all hope, and what we would attribute to clouded thinking because of the complete lack of sleep. He ended his life on February 25th of last year. And anyone who knew Sean this was completely shocking because, like we say, he looked like a man who had it all. He did not look like he was struggling with anything on the inside. So this was shocking and obviously devastating to us, his family, and his friends. And we really struggled with this. And a couple months in, and me and my daughter particularly were like, how can we make meaning of this tragedy in our lives? And if you know me, I am a very goer and doer. And for me to work through my grief, I felt also a nudging from Sean that I needed to make a difference. I needed to prevent this from happening to another family. So I started the Stay Mentally Strong Foundation in hopes of preventing this from happening to anyone else. But as I started to research, I found some hard things that 1 in 4 men suffer from some sort of mental illness. In fact, males account for 75% of suicides worldwide, and we lose 1 man every 14 minutes in the US alone. Yet statistics show that men are far less likely to reach out for help, for emotional support or for professional help, even when they're in the most distressing of circumstances. And so these statistics showed me that we have a lot of work to do. Like, why aren't men reaching out for help, right? So that inspired me to do this webinar to kind of talk about the top reasons that men don't reach out for help and give some actionable tips that the foundation is doing and that you at home can do for your families, for the men in your life, for yourself, for your communities. So we're going to jump into that. But first, I've got to introduce our awesome guest that is here with me today. Chad is like a local hero in Utah. But not only that, he is an internationally acclaimed speaker and top-selling author, right?
This was not planned.
Well, it is planned on my part.
Okay.
So he's amazing, and he has been through, his story is amazing. So I'm just going to have you briefly, if you're okay with that, just tell kind of your backstory. I know he's been through an amazing challenge, and I'm sure you've struggled with your own mental demons along the way.
Maybe that's a good place to start. Maybe the only difference between your husband and me is that maybe I'm a voice that can speak on that, because I don't think that Sean went through too much that maybe I didn't. I feel like I'm a resilient person. I feel like I'm a strong person. I feel like I'm mentally driven. I mean, I have a lot of weaknesses, but those are some of the things that I attribute to be a strength. I also like to take care of things on my own. I don't like to necessarily depend on other people to do things for me. And so, for you and I to be having this conversation is kind of surreal to me
Mm.
because I never, these are things I don't share
Mhm.
for obvious reasons. And,
Mhm.
without putting a gender on it, I don't think that it's necessarily men, although the stats show that
Mhm.
it's higher for a male ratio. But, how, uh, how this is if euphoric for you and I to be here, and we've known each other, our families have known each other for a long time, and so it's this is very this is sacred ground that we're talking about, but it's a topic that does need to be talked about. And so maybe that's as much background for this audience as needed, is that I'd like to maybe be as much of a voice for your husband as I possibly can, and like you, have a passion to try and help other families that think that there's something there, but they're not sure how, if they can put their finger on it. And yet these men that need help, there's a place and a sanctuary for them to go to.
Yeah, that's very well put. Well, you do need to share that your experience a little bit.
I can do that. So um I
Well,
would,
let me just interrupt you really quick.
sure.
We went to high school with him, and he was like the top athlete, right? He was,
Gee,
and very charismatic,
that's really going too
very
far.
very confident, I might say. Maybe a little bit of ego there.
I would say, you can say cocky.
Yeah.
You can say, yeah, a little
But
arrogant,
yeah,
for sure.
he was good at everything, and
But I did that to cover up for where I lacked in talent, for
Mm.
sure. So, but with that said, we went to high school together. After high school, I went and did some service for a couple of years to Thailand, came home and married the girl that I dated in high school. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I just got after it. I started doing kind of my own thing. I've always kind of done that. And something that many people didn't know about me in high school that I love, I have a passion for the outdoors. I've
Mhm.
always loved the outdoors. And so Shondell and I moved our family from the city out where we're at now, out in the country.
Mhm.
And I started building this dream of having a ranch. And 6 years into that, I made kind of a bad choice on the farm, which rendered me numb in all four limbs. So my hands are numb, and I'm numb from the armpits to the toes. And that's where my new life was to begin. And uh, still married to this girl that I dated in high school. This was not planned. We had two little boys that were 3 and 1 at the time, and now I'm faced with this challenge that that Sean was faced with, in my mind, and I don't know how to end my life because I physically can't do it,
Mhm.
and I'm looking for someone to pay to do it
Mhm.
in my mind, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering how to do this. So that's a little bit of background on me, and that was about 25 years ago, and we push through every day. And so, and it's not necessarily as much of a battle right now as it was back then, but
Mhm.
we've learned some things,
Yeah,
and
a lot.
been able to. So
Yeah.
we hope to share them.
Yes, awesome. Hey, so let's kind of just jump right into that, which
Sure.
the number one reason men don't seek help is there is a stigma out there. Um, in your mind, what is the men's mental illness stigma, or why is it there?
Well, I think that there's a couple of reasons. I think that it for a lot of people, it's our job to take care of our families. There is a stigma about men that we're strong. Um, Perhaps stronger than our spouses. And I think nothing could be more further from the truth. Um, I don't think that it's there's a stigma out there that we provide, we take care of. It's not that we are the ones that are being taken care of, right? And so, and I don't know that it's just men. I don't know that there's too many women out there that would like to have their husbands take care of the most intimate or the most sacred parts of their life, right?
Right.
And so I think it does go both ways. And
Yeah.
Chantal and I've talked about this, but men in general, we take pride in that. When we're not fulfilling that, there's a less, we put less value on ourselves. Self-worth goes down. We lose a job, or maybe we're not being able to make the bills or pay the bills. Now, I think I've gone through all that.
Yeah.
I've lost everything, just like you have.
Yeah.
You lose everything. And I've also learned, as we talk about this, that is a good place to start. It's a great place to start when you've lost something, which is what you're doing with this new foundation. And so,
Yeah.
but that stigma is there's a lot of pride involved in this.
A lot of pride. Yeah, for Sean, it was definitely that mentality that a man should be strong, he should be stoic, he should be self-reliant. And so it was really hard for him to show weakness. And I was telling you before that when he was really struggling, he actually went and stayed at his parents' house for like a week. And he said, I don't want you to see me this week, and I don't want the girls to see me this week. And shame on me. Like, I'm going to be really open to women that are listening and say, create that space for your husband that he can be open. You know what I mean? And I shared this other experience about him, just that when I came home one time from running, he was yelling at himself. He didn't know that I was home, and he was yelling at himself to come on, be a man, be the man your wife needs, that your kids need. He was breaking down, but he couldn't show that to anyone else. You know, he was holding that all inside. Yeah, he thought he was by himself, and it scared me a lot. But I will say that as a wife of someone that was like that, it scared me to see him so like broken down. And so let's create a space for men to be able to open up. You know, I could have said a lot more than I said, you know, but I was scared by the reaction that I had never seen from him, right?
That's fair. I think it behooves us as men to realize that we need to rely on other people's strengths to compensate for our weaknesses. So it's not just you, and I don't want you to take the full heat for that, although I understand why you do it. For me, you said Sean went to his parents' house. I still haven't mastered this, Gina, because for the last 25 years, I run away and go spend time with people, or I'll go to a hotel. And because I don't want Shondell to have to deal with, just different things that come up, or seeing me my weaknesses, or having to help me get dressed, or maybe seeing me struggle, or pushing on carpet. Because if she sees me pushing and I'm going slow, what is she going to want to do?
Yeah.
Come right behind me, and that's a weak, and so there's this, this saying that my dad has repeated to me, and it's easy to say, but it's very, very hard to do, where it is allowing other people's, again, their strengths to compensate for your weak, and through that you become more independent. And as I have done that, some miraculous things have happened, where that's counseling, allowing people to help me physically, allowing people to, you just saw it happen, allowing people to help me set up, as we set up today, because I don't think I touched one button in here.
Yeah.
Other people, do I want to do it? Yes. But when I allow others to do it, we're able to fulfill something that we otherwise wouldn't do, because I'm running away from it. So I hope that
allowing people to help.
That allow, it's called surrendering.
Yeah.
You have to surrender, and that is tough. That is tough for
a man.
Tough for a man to do.
Yeah, it's tough for any of us, but particularly tough for a man.
I think you're absolutely right.
So some of the ways that we can do it as a society, help men to come out, and what we're doing as a foundation is to try to normalize that conversation for men to feel like they're in a safe space to share. So my brother-in-law, Chris, who's actually here, has helped me out a lot and started this, what we call Man-to-Man. And he does these interviews with just men in the community, reaches out to, and they try to have this really open conversation where it's normalized to talk about the hard things that you have in your life. And it's been really awesome to watch these men, tough men, come out and tell you things that you had no idea that they were struggling with, and that it's okay. There's a space there for them to talk about those things. So I think that's one of the things, normalizing the conversation about men's mental health and creating a safe space. Also, our motto is vulnerability is a strength. That was another thing for Sean. I think it was hard for him to be vulnerable because he felt like it might have showed weakness.
How long did you say? Was it 2 months that you noticed?
Yeah,
this?
It was
So
December was sort of the actual breakdown, and then January, and then February.
So I think,
and he became a lot more vulnerable in those months.
Sure,
but I think just the practice over his life of not really being able to really open up, that caused a lot of those stuffed down emotions,
Which tells you how fast this can work. So there's not a lot of time to spare.
No.
Right? You see it, you act.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good takeaway from Gene right there, that when you see this in your families, and Shondell has brought this up to me before, even with my children, that if we're going to talk about things and be vulnerable, we need to act with urgency on some of the things that we're talking about. Yeah. Otherwise it becomes lip service, and the demons don't go away. Right. The dark places, they don't go away.
Yeah, so you have to act fast.
Have to act very, very fast. And so there's no time for that.
Yeah. And that takes me into the number 2 reason is the resources. Okay. So that was a huge sticking point for us when, like I said before, when he started to struggle, we're just like, what? We don't know where to go. We don't even know what to do. And, so a big part of the foundation is, to provide reliable resources. So that's like our number 1 thing is, I've been talking to many, therapists, men's groups, doing all the research on that so that when the hope is that when someone goes to at least our website, that if they're in crisis mode, there's immediate help there. One of the big issues with Sean, that we had was, he got set up with a crisis counselor. And I found out after that he had made 4 or 5 calls to that crisis counselor without a call back. No return phone call. And to me, that's a broken system, right?
Yeah.
When we finally did get a hold of them after Sean passed to let them know, they said, oh, the crisis counselor he was set up with was sick for that week.
I don't know why I can't get it.
That's not okay, right?
Just hit cancel.
My mom needs to mute.
There you
hers.
go.
Oh, no,
So this will help you.
No.
this means, okay. Oh, I
Okay,
don't want that up there.
Yeah, no, if you guys can mute, that'll help us out.
Just
Just
get
mute your
it
phone.
turned up, honey.
I'm trying to.
Hit cancel.
I did, and that's what happened.
I can help. I got it.
We'll just
Hit
mute your phone.
cancel.
Okay,
There we go.
so,
There we go.
limited access to resources. So yeah, we're putting the resources on there. There's a new 988 number.
So can we repeat the website one more time? Just 'cause I didn't
Oh,
know.
staymentallystrong.com.
So check that out. And
Yes.
that can, I'm just gonna have one of you guys do this. So Debbie, so you're there. Good to see you, by the way. So Debbie, will you just type in the chat, staymentallystrong.com. Just type that right in the chat for us so that people can see that. Just go down to that chat button and type that in. That will help us out. I'll just have Debbie type in there. Perfect. She's got it there. Thanks,
Deb,
Deb.
you're awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Deb. So Deb, you're going to be our scribe today. We're going to type a few things in the chat. And for those of you, can we throw that out there? If those people want to ask questions,
Yeah, and throw it in the chat.
throw it in the
We can
chat
see
as
it.
well. So there's a chat box down there. Throw in some comments, throw in some of the things that you would want to talk about. If we don't hit it today, we'll hit it in the future for sure. But use that chat for sure. Please type that in.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
that'll
Thank
be
you.
advantageous.
Yes. And the website is a work in progress. We've got a lot of stuff to put on there, but every time I find a new good resource, I'm putting it on there. So whether you're in crisis mode, there's going to be numbers on there that you can get quick, immediate help. And then if you're more in maintenance, which I think that's what Sean missed, is the maintenance of stuffing down the OCD that he had, stuffing down the anxiety because it wasn't a manly place to come out and talk about. If these men are maintaining and there's a safe, open space for them to talk about how they're feeling, then we don't get to that crisis mode. That's the hope, right?
Yeah. So you said something earlier I wanted to tap into, and you said that you saw Sean perhaps the most vulnerable in your relationship those last couple
Oh,
months.
yeah.
And I think that's also a sign, but that's also, a place where you can open up and become closer together and really see if that can't be a turning point instead of going to the other side, right? That might be an opportunity to take advantage of a situation and say, hey, we are going to
Get through this together.
together, right? Not individually, but
Mhm.
but together. The reason why I bring that up is because just recently, Shondell and I, and then me and my children,
Mm,
there are things that I'll do for my children that I won't do for my wife. I know that sounds bad, but
mhm,
I will let my children
mhm,
help me. And I've had my kids, my older boys especially, come to me and say, Dad, Mom seems sad.
Yeah.
Do you want her to be sad?
Yeah.
And what's the answer? The
Yeah.
answer is no. So, all right,
Mhm.
Dad. So Mom is sad because you're at the hotel or
Mhm.
you have stayed away working for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Mhm.
And, if all you do is go help other people and, put
Mhm.
braces on people
Yeah.
and you don't take care of what the home,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
God's probably not going to like that too much.
Yeah.
And so that's the exact
Mhm.
conversation I've had with my
Mhm.
boys. And
Mhm.
when they say that to me, I'm not the father anymore. They
Right.
are.
Yeah.
And I need to change some things so I
Mhm.
can get back in that
Yeah.
father role. So
Yeah.
that vulnerability is very powerful. It's
Yeah.
very powerful for me
Mhm.
to have the boys say that to me. So,
Yeah. And why were you staying away?
because I didn't want them to see me in
Yeah.
that
You don't want
state.
Shondell to see you. in
I
that
don't want
state.
Shondell to see me. I really don't want the boys to see me, but I'll listen to the boys more.
Yeah.
Right. Shondell, I don't even want her to say anything because I don't want her to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So other people, it's just,
Mhm.
they don't know me. It's a quick meet and greet and then they're gone. It's room service. It's the people that drive the Uber vehicles.
Yeah.
It's going to the parents' house and staying in a room and
Yeah.
not letting those that are closest to you.
Mhm.
It's everything opposite, which helps people.
Yeah,
It's everything opposite. You
yeah.
know, virtue and vice. It's
Right.
everything to its opposite. And so we really need to pay attention to that. And
Mhm.
you've learned this a very, very tough way,
I've learned it a very, very tough way.
for sure. And your children
Yeah.
have learned it a very, very tough way. Because
Because it was even sad for I mean, of course, it was hard for like, Jace wasn't home, but my daughter Ellie and Josie, they're just like, what's going on with dad, you know?
this was
Because
news
they
to
were,
them.
yeah,
This is foreign to
someone
them.
new, yeah.
And Jace, Jace was on a 2-year mission for the church, and so he didn't get to see this, but this was, he had to get this.
Yeah,
and
and of
he's-
course Sean said, let's not share so much with Jace. We don't want to bother him, you know, but that's been bad too. I mean, me and
That
Jason
would've-
had that battle of why didn't I know this was going on? Why didn't dad open up to me?
Just
I
from
could
his
have helped maybe,
perspective,
yeah.
like my son's, that's probably his most
Mhm.
important missionary work.
Yeah.
Would be that I had to help my dad.
Yeah.
Not that he had
Oh,
to go,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he would have been given
Yeah.
permission to talk to dad more
Yeah,
often.
so we've had a little
for that
struggle with
reason,
that since
so.
he got home as well, you know.
Sure,
Just
makes
why
sense.
didn't we open up? So big, hard learning lessons for sure. So next, number 3 I wrote down is worried about privacy. This was a big one for Sean. And so I talked to men that are professionals, men that are family men, you know, that's a hard thing. He did not want us to say anything to anyone because he was like worried about his
Brand.
worried about his practice. He was
Yeah.
worried about his partners. Will this affect the practice? And people don't want to come to me if they know that I'm struggling. So how do we overcome that?
It's an easy question to ask. I don't know that we overcome it. I think we are overcoming it.
Mm.
I think it's a work in progress because
Mhm.
I can tell you today as we sit here that I have not overcome it,
Yeah.
but it is something that I'm making progress on.
Yeah.
And I still fall. I still
Mhm.
falter.
Yeah.
I have been at home for 3 days now.
Mhm.
2 of the 3 have been good.
Yeah.
But the third day,
Yeah.
it was on Saturday or Sunday, the Sabbath yesterday.
Mhm.
It was just, I don't know, I needed Chandel's help a little bit more
Mhm.
yesterday.
And it bothers you, need her help?
It
Yeah.
does, but I'm, again, not making this about me, but when I accept her help or when I accept help from other people that I'm
Mhm.
close to,
Mhm.
then things become more available to me in that
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
But it's not an overcoming
Mhm.
or where I can say,
Mhm.
hey, I've overcome this.
Mhm.
It's probably going to be a lifelong
Yeah.
journey for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think if we can accept that it's a journey and
Mhm.
not something that comes to an end immediately,
Yeah.
then we're allowing ourselves to make progress,
Mhm.
not to be perfect.
Yeah.
Sean did not have to be perfect.
No,
He just needed to make progress. Right?
a perfectionist. But the interesting thing, you know, is that he didn't want me to tell anyone about it, but yet if he found out that someone he knew that he looked up to was struggling, he was like, do you think I could reach out to them? Like he wanted to find that, you know,
That
to
connection.
not feel alone in his pain. So it was like, do you think I could reach out to them? And would they feel, you know, he wanted to,
Were they look down on him? Were they not?
yeah, they don't look down on you though,
Yeah.
do they? Because
Absolutely
I
not.
think they open up and say, oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
You're the same
you're
as me.
real. You're the
Yeah,
same as
you're
me.
authentic. Yeah,
Yes,
you're genuine. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's power in that as well. I think
Mhm.
as men, we hide that and we think that it doesn't exist. But when you get in these open forums and you realize there are other people out there that
They're
go through,
struggling.
well, and let's just talk about a couple of them.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, one of my most favorite. I'm just saying, 6
Yeah.
children,
Mhm.
beautiful wife,
Mhm. Yeah.
a guy that I could watch on for hours and hours, and yet
Mhm.
he couldn't. He struggled through the same things that we're all talking
To
about.
open up about.
Chris Farley.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just there's never been another actor that made David Letterman and Jay Leno so happy whenever he came to their show.
Yeah.
And
Yet they didn't have anyone to talk to about it.
nobody that they felt that they could. They had him.
Yeah, exactly.
He had they had best friends, but they didn't want their best friends to know,
Mhm.
right? And so
Mhm. And that's what most people will say is just like, I never had any idea that Sean was going through this.
Yeah.
And most people that do take their lives, that's what the people say. I had no idea
nobody
that they
said
were
that.
struggling.
And you know what? Therein lies a challenge for the spouses, those of you that are listening, and other family members. Is there's a gap, and we have to close that gap.
Yeah.
we can take suicide out of the conversation. Let's just talk about our kids.
Yeah.
If my kid brings home bad grades and I get upset with him because I see the report card, maybe it's more kind of like you saying, where you've taken some ownership and responsibility in Sean's unfortunate death. Why didn't I see that coming sooner? What are some of the signs that I could have looked at and tried to close the gap? For me, when it's the kids, it's now saying, okay, I'm going to go spend more time with them doing some homework. And it's that time piece, those moments you have with Sean where
where I said, I probably just need to go to work today. I can't just sit in this with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I never, at the funeral, you talked about how you and him, you never spent so much time praying together as a couple. I remember you saying that at the funeral, and it inspired me to pray more with Shondell. We've been married for 30 years. And so that's become a constant for us, whether I'm on the road, whether I'm at home. I thought, hey, I need to have that constant with Shondell. We've talked about it. We've heard about it in church, the power that it brings to a relationship, but we just kind of do our own separate prayers, and she studies and I study, and all right, we check it off the box. That's not the way that it's supposed to work. And so we need to close the gap in all of our relationships as much as possible. So that's putting things on the table.
And I will say, if privacy really is a big issue for you, we also are putting a lot of sites online that there's all kinds of resources now where you can go online and no one has to know. Like, it is completely anonymous, and we didn't know about those resources at the time either. It was like, oh, you gotta hide to go into
So you found some credible resources.
And
sure.
we've got those on the website that you can go on anytime, 24 hours a day, and get help, anonymous help. So I just want to put that out there for any of those men, because we have had men reach out lately. Actually, I should say, no, I've had a few men reach out, mostly wives or mothers that are worried about their person and their man in their life, saying, I don't want to go to anyone in our community. I don't want anyone to know. So that is a big challenge, the privacy thing.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
And that just goes back to the stigma. Why privacy? Because there is the stigma, right? So, all right, next one, number 4, and we talked already about this one.
No, this one we got to.
Don't want to be a burden.
Yeah, you don't want to be a burden to people. You don't want people to help, and we take pride in independence. When we talk about that, we take pride in doing things on our own, whether you're male or female. I think we all take pride in doing things by ourselves, and even just having someone go out and shovel snow for me this morning so I get out to the office, or I just think that we allow people to help, and
well, I loved how you told us before. Chad travels all the time and you go alone, but you said that you like size people up at the airport, and you're like, I'm gonna ask that man to put me in my car after.
I'm looking for the sex hunts, man. I'm looking for the guys.
But you're just willing. You've come to the point where you're just like, you know what? I need help, and I'm gonna ask.
Well,
and he's going to be willing to help me.
You know what? That's the cool, is here's the cool thing is people want to help.
Yeah, they sure do.
The spouse, you want to help Sean.
Yes.
Shondell wants to help me. So for me to deny, I'll just speak as though I were Sean, for me to deny you that, or for me to deny Shondell, or to deny Maria or Chris the ability to help me, is denying them a blessing that they could have in their life. And I think that's called theft.
Yeah.
And theft is a very, very bad practice. And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
Sean is guilty of that.
Yeah.
And we have to answer for that, right?
Well, you mentioned before, it's way easier to ask people you don't know for help than those close to you.
Right. I agree. But how much more would you want to help to have those people, the ones you love, right?
It's just
And
harder.
so, it is harder. But my kids will tell you that they grew up better because dad was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
They grew up better because dad's legs had spasm, which is happening right now, that we could help dad with his leg. And those are the stories that'll be told long after I'm gone, that we got to help dad. When they see other people in wheelchairs, how are they going to act? They're more empathetic.
Yeah.
They spend time in a special ed class. It's a strength to them. It's not a weakness to them. Whereas I've always, in the beginning, I took that away. I looked at it as, at the high school, they have this dance for the special ed students. It's unreal. And every year, all of my kids have been involved in that. They have it's a dance, and then it's the Mr. and Mrs. Amazing pageant. They have a dance, they have a talent. It's for the deaf, the blind, the beautiful kids that have Down syndrome,
That's
and
awesome.
it is the most incredible thing.
Mhm.
And they pack in the auditorium. Everybody comes in, and
Yeah, 'cause
it's the-
everyone wants to help.
everybody wants to help.
Mhm.
Everyone wants to help.
Yeah.
They have no problem getting sponsors.
Yeah.
They have no problem raising money. I mean,
Yeah.
none.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be involved. And when we
Mhm.
hide that or we put the pride shield up, then we rob other people of the opportunity to
Yeah.
give.
Yeah, I love
Right?
that.
So it's
So that's, you
that's
gave,
what allows me to help,
Yeah.
ask people to help me.
Yeah.
And I love it. You know, this guy,
Mhm.
they'll say, I got your back.
yeah.
Or the bellman will come up and he'll say, if you
They
need,
feel good about
they
themselves
feel
when
good
they
at it,
give
right.
help.
And you
Yeah.
know, here's a cool thing too. I'll bring this up. So this happened many times where a bellman will take me up to the room
Mhm.
and he'll help me with my bags,
Mhm.
and I'll go to give him some cash.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to take it.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of offended by that. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to pay him for
Yeah.
his time and his service. And then I'll say something like this. I've kind of learned a little loophole. I'll say, do you have any kids?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll say, yeah,
Mhm.
I've got a daughter or
Yeah.
son, or this money's not for you.
Mhm.
This money is for you to go home tonight and let them know that you helped somebody
Mhm.
and you're taking home some ice cream
Mhm.
and doing something different for them.
And then
they'll
they'll take it.
stop because it's not for them, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do things for others that we won't do for ourselves.
Very true.
I'll say that again when it pertains to what we're talking about, mentally strong. We will do things for others that we won't do for ourselves.
Mhm.
So don't make this Zoom call about you.
Mhm.
Make it about those that you love. You might
Mhm.
act on something today that you otherwise wouldn't have done.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
need to make today about somebody else, not
Right.
about us.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of going back to, yeah, you've got to make yourself good mentally too. I guess I would bring this back into Sean is it's kind of like when you're on an airplane and they say you got to put the mask on yourself before you can help someone else.
Yeah.
You know, you also have to make sure you're like, he didn't want to take the time or not even the time. It's just the, well, and we'll get right into this next one that I'm going to talk about is the financial men avoid therapy because it costs money, right?
Sure. No matter what it costs. Even if it's
Yeah, it
cheap,
doesn't matter what it costs. Doesn't matter if they have the money. So
they'd rather spend money on something else.
Sean didn't want to spend. He had the money. He didn't want to spend family finances on getting help for him for what he should be able to fix himself, right? But what he wasn't realizing, if he doesn't help himself,
You can't have
he
others.
can't help others.
Right.
And that's what I think that people are missing. Like you have got to get yourself in a good position so that you can reach out to others. It's not being selfish to take the time to empower yourself.
I'm
you know.
smiling because you remind me of my mother. She said,
Great.
no, not both.
Others.
My mom was my mom would constantly say that to me. She said, Chad, you can't go help your boys unless you help yourself first. You
Yeah.
can't go coach them until you coach yourself first. And it was a very, again, a very surreal moment for me. And my mom still talks to me about that today. And we look back and we laugh about that. Can I just share something real
Yes, for
quick?
sure.
I refused to go out and play soccer. Have you heard that story where with my
No.
boys? I looked out the window and because I was in a wheelchair and I couldn't kick and couldn't play, I sat upstairs and watched them play out on the grass with their mother, and it just ticked me off. I got mad at God. I wanted to find a way out.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave. I didn't want to be around because I should have been one out there playing, not
Okay.
Sean.
Yeah.
That was the men
Mm-hmm.
talking. That was the mentally state
Yeah.
that I was in, that I should be out there. And I don't know what it was, Gina, but one day I just wheeled my chair over the threshold of the door, and I was up on top of the ramp. We just came up the ramp, and there's a cement ramp that goes down to the grass right out the front lawn. And I went outside and I just said this to the boys. I said, "Hey, can I watch you play soccer?" And the youngest boy said no. And I thought, I deserve that answer. Fine. So I turned my chair around and I started to come back in the house. And before I could get back in the house, I'm pushing, but I'm not making any, I'm not going in the house. Something, and the little boy is tugging on the back of my wheelchair, pulling me back. And I look back and he couldn't have been 5 years old. And he's pulling on me and he said, "Dad, you're not going to watch. You're going to play."
Oh,
And I said, "No, I don't want to play. I just want to watch." And when you're in a wheelchair, you really don't have a whole lot to say about what they do.
You're gonna do.
Right. So he pushed me out on the grass, and I can't move on the grass. He went in the garage and he grabbed 2 orange cones. He put one by this tire and one by the other tire. And then he said, "Dad, Mom said that you're numb. You're going to be the goalie. So whenever we kick the ball and it hits you, it shouldn't hurt, Dad. You're going to be the best goalie in the world."
it.
Now, here's the catch. You just saw Gina laugh
Mhm.
and my son wasn't laughing,
Mhm.
which tells you that he didn't think it was funny. Nothing,
Yeah, no,
he just wanted me in his life.
yeah, I love it.
He wanted me present.
Mhm.
And Shondell and I talked about that
Mhm.
after, which then made me not miss a game,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
They needed me in their life. They
Mhm.
needed me present.
I love it.
And I think as men, we need to remember that we need that our families, they don't need us to be perfect. They don't need us to kick. They don't need us to, they just need us there. And
I love that story.
if I can remember that every day and have a sign or a sticky note on my forehead that my kids need me there, no matter what their age or their station, or if they're married or not, my grandkids need me there. I might do something for them that I won't do for myself. I might go get help. I might call for help. I might call that number that's on the website. And so that story has always been a very, very powerful one. As part
Well,
of my
and
testimony.
it relates really sadly to Sean's situation, that he was so in his head about it, about him being the burden, that he really did think we would be better off without a father that was perfect than an imperfect, husband and
Sure.
father at the time. Like that's what his mentality was.
It's a fascinating scenario. There are imperfect, perfect people out there that help out with those situations.
Yeah.
They're imperfect, perfect angels,
Yeah,
and they're amongst us every single day.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I don't see a lot of difference at all between Sean and I. I mean,
Mhm.
we're not going to be judged differently. I think that what you're doing now with this foundation is going to help out a lot of people, and we need to act on what Gina has gone through to honor you. I will say this about what we're talking about right now.
Mhm.
You honor the losses by the way you live your life moving forward.
Mhm.
And it's a statement that I make a lot. And um, oftentimes we'll have a loss in our life and we'll think, oh, I wish I would have, kind of like you said today when we started out, right? I could have done this or I could have done that. But the measurement now comes from what are you doing to make this a legacy?
Yeah,
Right, so-
I don't want to sit in the blame, right?
Right. You know,
Because that
a
to
dark
me
place.
is very dark. It's the adversary
Yep.
making me not.
Yeah.
It freezes us, right?
you're
Paralyzes
plateaued.
us.
Yeah, you're plateaued. Sure.
To where we can't do anything. So I only share because I feel like I need to let women know what I did that I wish I would have done differently, and I want to be really open about that. So not to put myself down because I don't want to do that,
No, and you're not.
but I do want to empower other women to act and to take the thing seriously.
Well, I think that again, that's how you honor the
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what Sean will be wanting you to do with
Yeah.
this circumstance.
Thank you. Well, so, and then back just to the last one about, the financial part of it, that either men can't afford it, or they don't think they can afford it, or they don't want to spend money on it. That's another big part of the foundation. We have, like 3 annual, fundraisers that we do, and with this money, it goes directly to help those men that don't have the finances or to help subsidize these payments. And we've already been able to help a few men, get the therapy that they need. So that is really rewarding that,
That's awesome.
that a man can go, I've got a problem. I can go to this website, I can find answers and I can get the funding for it. And so we never want money to be a reason why a man wouldn't get help, right?
Or money
So-
shouldn't be a barrier.
No,
I think
and
so,
that's
so.
going to lead us into our next exciting announcement. So the funds that we raise, it will go to help men with their private therapy, with their group therapy, men's therapy, and then we also for retreats. So there's so many good men's retreats, right? My brother-in-law has been doing these man-to-mans, and it's really helped him to learn a lot about what men need right now. I mean, there is a major need for men's groups right now. He's gone to a few that have been really helpful. Here Brotherhood was a really good one that my son and brother-in-law went to. For men that just want to be with men and have these amazing experiences. We've come up with a men's retreat that we're actually going to do at Chad's amazing lodge next month or in April, end of April. And so my brother-in-law is putting it on, and Stay Mentally Strong will be the sponsors for it. But the twist on this is that we're inviting them to bring their spouses. And the reason why we're doing this is huge to me. Sean would have never gone to just a men's retreat. That just wasn't who he
By himself?
by himself. No, it would have been really hard to get him there, even when he's like kind of in that crisis mode. But if he has this wife going, we're going to this, I'm going with you, I'm going to learn tools. This would have been huge for us, for me to go and learn tools to help my husband. Like we needed something like this. So I'm super excited about it. I'm going to have Maria and Chris, they're going to kind of head up the, we'll call it the men's retreat / bring your wife, man-to-man's, bring your wife too.
We'll come up with a slogan.
Yeah, we'll come up with
Yeah.
the slogan, but I'm just gonna have them kind of talk a little bit about that to get you excited, and there's limited spots, so we hope that you'll sign up. It's gonna be like amazing, life-changing, so
So,
let them.
all right, so we're gonna bring Chris and
Yeah,
Leanne in.
I'm gonna move out.
All right,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'm
All right,
gonna
bring it in. Bring it over here in the middle, Chris. Maria, you gonna sit here?
Yeah.
Okay. But talk to us about this retreat that we have coming up. And Chris, take the floor.
Hey, friends, we are so excited to share Chris's man-to-man retreat. And what did you call it, Chris?
Well, we were talking about a name and I said, it's a man-to-man, bring your boss to work.
That's exactly
Right.
what it is. Yeah.
My boss is right here, I'm bringing her
right.
with me. And so, Gina mentioned that we did go to, we went to a men's retreat and there's a lot of good things but I would fall in the same category as Sean and Chad too. I don't think, I wouldn't even have gone to the one that we went to had this situation with Sean had happened with him passing and the way that things went down. But it's changed a lot of my thinking in the last, probably year to a year and a half for sure, if not two. And I totally see the value in having my spouse be learning these things that she can do to cope, while we can create, some relationships and sense of community as well with other men who are in the same situation. Because a lot of the stuff that's been spoken of today, I've had all of those thoughts, right? With Maria's seen me, and I've probably struggled a lot the last year and a half with, like, I've had some things in my life happen where I felt like my only value was what I was bringing as far as financial, right?
Monetary.
Yeah, and those same thoughts of, as she mentioned, Sean, those have crossed my mind, and I'm not anything special or unique. I'm sure that most men probably have a lot of the same thoughts with challenges and difficult things they have in their life. So this will be really exciting, I think. Chad's place is awesome and amazing.
Yeah, tell them about your lodge. It's really
built
cool.
for this. It's built for this very reason that Gina's created, that you guys have created. It's built for the gathering of people to come in to learn, grow, and develop themselves. That's why it's been built. It's for no other reason. I mean, it's used for other avenues as well, but this is the purpose, and it really came from my wife. It came from Shondell.
Of course it did.
It did. And, it came from Shondell, but can we create something that is bigger and better than ourselves, where people can come and grow and learn together on a variety of different pillars and scales. And this is probably the best reason for it, is to help people become better and more secure in their marriages and be able to fight off some of those demons that we fight off. So the lodge is a dedicated facility. And when I say dedicated, it is on sacred ground. We love the outdoors, and so we have a lot of outdoor activities, whether it's ATVs, the fishing ponds. We have elk on the property. There was a bunch. I went up there this morning. I'm in town obviously today, and there was a bunch of wild turkeys that were out there. We feed those, and it's God's country on earth, if you ask me. And so,
Spoken by a true outdoorsman.
and so we want people to experience that. And I like to call it a Ritz out in the country. I mean, this is not something that you can get at the Marriott or at the Hilton. Nothing against those hotel brands, but we just want this to be something that's very, very special for people, and something that they can't get in the city. So it's about 45 minutes outside of the Salt Lake City airport.
And we've stayed here before and it was awesome.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
that's right.
fun.
That's right. And your family's
And
been.
Right.
had some
So
fun here.
Chris has arranged to have some amazing professionals come in and teach us and give men the skills. And then Gina and I are going to take the ladies, and we're going to learn how to support our husbands. We're also going to have some massages and a few other little
And we got
extras.
a lot of good speakers coming in.
Yeah, speakers.
Right? So they're going to come and
We
educate.
have a performance in the evening. It's going to be a great experience. 2 nights.
2 nights. Meals taken care of. We're all
Yes,
good, everything,
yes.
everything inclusive, so.
Yeah.
Be awesome. And the
Yeah, there'll be skeet shooting.
ATVs, we're doing the ATV skeet shooting. We're gonna, for those of you that dare to do it, we'll might even make a couple of you men do a cold plunge, but we'll see how that works. So,
do that, and then maybe
got-
some pickleball. We'll
yeah.
figure that out.
So there's a
But,
lot of activities that we'll be doing as well as the classes and the curriculum. So a lot of up and down, a lot of moving around.
Yeah, so the dates are April 24th, 25th and 26th, 2 nights. We will have information on, if you're interested, DM us, we can send you the brochure. Pretty soon we'll have all the pricing and
So
everything.
do we have a place
available.
they can go to do that right now so that Debbie can type it in the chat for us? So
What do we
go to the
have,
website?
Gina?
They're just gonna DM me if they want information.
So
on that.
DM
We'll
on,
post it.
so when she says DM, you're gonna go to Gina
Oh, yeah, DM,
on Instagram?
Stay mentally strong. Yeah.
Stay mentally strong.
yes,
Okay.
mentally strong. And then we'll just blast you with all the information on it within the next week.
So this video that, or this webinar that we're recording today is also going to be available on Stay Mentally Strong and also on my personal page on Chad Hymas on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And so we want to just blow this up and try and invite as many people as we can to this. Like Gina said earlier, there is a limited number of spots due to the number of rooms we have at the lodge. So you'll want to get signed up and take care of that as soon as you possibly can.
And we want to end by thanking Chad Hymas for mentoring us, for helping us. We are so grateful for your time.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. So
We turn over, yeah, turn over you. Okay, we're ready to wrap it up. Thank you for jumping in. And also kudos to Gina. Can you believe my sister, what she's doing?
Well, thank you for, joining us. And I just hope that these tips that we've given you, you can help implement these so that we can make a difference in men's mental health.
we might just quickly before we leave here, some of you guys are
Anyone have
showing
any
your camera.
questions?
Anybody have any questions? We can see some of your faces. If some of you guys want to take off your cameras, we have over 30 people on so far today. But you should be proud of yourself. I think I had two
Gina,
people.
yeah, Gina
on
was
the-
hoping for 2.
Yeah, we have 30 plus people. So look, there's Stacy Alverson there. So we got Stacy on and Danielle's there,
If
Vaughn.
anyone has
so-
any questions though, type it in the chat and we can answer any of those
Yeah.
questions
There's
too.
a couple of things that's funny.
On the chat, I can go to it. Can you type real quick?
A little bit about the man-to-man retreat, the Bring Your Boss to Work Day. This first one will be kind of an introductory one, and we plan to have 1 to 3 a year coming up. So it's going to be really cool.
So Gina, there's a couple of questions in the chat. Maybe you want to address those or two. You're right. Looks like, so Debbie, thanks for being our scribe today. That's kind of cool. Gina, your parents are too cute. I think that's cool.
Mom and
So
Dad were on there
so-
chit chatting.
that was awesome. Yeah, they were talking back and forth. I thought that was
We have
cool.
one that says, do you feel like the pressure of the church for the man to provide and be the leader of their family needs to change or is changing? Will you go up a little bit, Chad?
Yeah, she bound.
Or can Chris go up?
I'm not helping him.
Oh my gosh.
And I want to just say, Chad is amazing for the things he's taught himself to do.
He is.
Holy cow.
So how
How
can we help
help
them
them lead, but not feel like it's on them all the time?
So I don't know that there's a church culture that says that the man needs to be the leader of the family. There's not any handbook. Now, that said, it is common, I guess, a belief that women are in the home and the men are out to provide, right? But that's not the same situation for everybody.
Right.
It certainly hasn't been that way my entire marriage, right? And so please don't feel like it's one size that fits all. There's not going to be anybody in any church that I would think, whether it's the Latter-day Saint church, Catholic church, that says that the men should be out there taking care of the family. They would rather have the family unit stay together, and they certainly wouldn't want death to be present over that. There's not anybody that in any kind of a church that would want death to precede that of coming together as a family. And so I hope that answers that question, that maybe there is this persona, but it's not any church handbook, and you'll never hear that preached over a pulpit ever.
Love that. Thank you.
Chris, do you want to answer Danielle's question?
Danielle said, you are all amazing. Thank you for doing this. Does the retreat have the food/meals included on the ranch lodge? Asking for a friend.
So there's not anything that we're hiding in the cost. Everything's inclusive.
Yep.
We're taking care of the speakers. We're taking care of the food. We're taking care of, just bring yourself
The
and come.
really, really good teaching. There's gonna be some really good speakers that we have and also some entertainment that's gonna be really fun.
And a night
Yeah.
entertainment.
Mhm.
We'll be doing s'mores as well. There'll be a lot of stuff taking place out on the fire pits that are on the deck. I mean, there's a lot of.
There,
cool
so there will
things.
be some group meetings, not meetings,
Breakout
but
sessions.
and then breakout sessions with the men and with the women, so.
So generally during the day we'll be separate and then at
Come
night
back
you
together.
can, yeah, and you can. And then, and the nice thing that Chad acknowledged when we told him about this, he said, that's great accountability for the man to have his wife there, because
Sure.
sometimes a man goes and he doesn't know what he
Yeah.
went
What he
into or
learned,
talked about, yeah,
exactly,
so
yeah.
you can kind
At
of.
the end of the night, they go back together and say, oh my gosh, I learned this, this and this, and how
Yeah.
can we implement?
And
this in
even
our lives?"
more, at the end of it, they go home to their life
Yeah.
and they can help each other with what they learned.
So that last session of that last day, there will be an accountability session where we can kind of share what our goals are gonna be, and we're gonna ask you to pick 3 to 5 things that you can work on together as a couple to help with staying mentally strong and overcoming some of the challenges that you're facing in your relationships and make those better, especially for those men out there that are struggling.
Awesome.
So.
Anybody else?
Okay,
Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us, and let's all try harder to.
this is
implement
gonna be
these
coming
things.
out on social media, so help us blow this sucker up,
Mhm.
please.
Yeah, please
join
share
us.
it.
So, thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.